The catch-up chronicles continue. Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Replay Mega Man Battle Network 2. In the last part, we finished our business on the plane back home from Netopia, landing home safely, before taking care of some side quests and exploring more of the internet. And before we continue on the main story, we're going to continue here in the Undernet to find a couple of things around here. We don't need to be here yet. We don't need to be here actually until an upcoming plot section, but I want to come this way just to grab some items along the way. First off, we got a new virus here, though. This is Null. Nulls are a little weird in that they kind of move slipperily around the arena, and their attack is twofold. They can spawn whirlpools on your side of the field, and they can also appear right in front of you and push you back a panel. So what they'll try to do is push you backwards into one of their whirlpools. But the thing to note, they're aqua viruses, yes, but when they're not fighting you outright, they are often just recovering their HP by moving around. So take care of them quickly if you got a lot of them. For now, though, I've actively made some edits to my folder. Namely, I've put all 3 full custs that we got at the end of the last part into there. So now I have pretty efficient ways to get through my folder for Magnet-Man V2 here in Undernet 2. So full cust we got at the end of the last part, like I said. Use it, and your custom gauge is immediately filled, and you can press L or R to select new chips. This is an incredibly useful battleship you're going to want at least 3 of in your folder, as while technically you are probably missing out on some damage in a lot of cases by not using some battleships and just wasting them away like that, it's just faster if you're trying to do certain program advances, especially if those are your main way of doing damage like they usually are for me. But at the same time, you also could do a thing where like, alright, I'm going to use these 3 chips very quickly, and then use a full cust, and then immediately move on to the next turn. Combine full custom, a well-coded folder, and custom style, and you can get through your folder very quickly and get pretty regularly high ranks, which is going to be a goal for a lot of this LP because, well, since this is going to be a 100% LP as opposed to my original, we got a lot to get still. We're not even at the halfway point of the battleships collected, though I think by the end of this part we are getting pretty close. Magnet-Man's chip's pretty good. It's the north-south tackle he does in the boss fight, so him and a blue clone of him both slam into the enemy to do some amount of electric damage. Against water-type bosses, which there are a couple of, it's pretty good. On top of the fact the M coding is really easy to work with. And thanks to Gutsman V2 and an attack plus 30 that we got last time, there's the Whirlpool chip down. That chip's interesting in that you throw a bomb, I believe, and if it hits an enemy outright, it does like 10 damage or something like that. But it ultimately, if it hits the ground, becomes one of the whirlpools. And if you can use, like, say, the wind box or the fan boxes to push or pull enemies into those, it does do a good bit of damage. I think it does the same damage the whirlpools in battle do to you, which is about 200, I think. So it can be useful. A-code's pretty easy to work with as well. But I just prefer not to, on the whole. By this point in the game onwards, I tend to prefer using very specific strategies that lean more into program advances or Navi chips and all that jazz. Welcome to the Undersquare, though. This is the final square in the game. It has some of the best items you can purchase for the main story, but we're here mainly just for one of said items. We're gonna need to be here eventually anyway, but I'm here now because I want to pick up a power-up at the net dealer here. With that said, this is where things start getting very expensive in shops, so prioritize what you really need rather than getting everything all at once, like get an HP memory and a power-up instead of maybe all the things at once. The line chips can be useful as well if you're going for certain playstyles with certain battle chips, like Ice Line could help you use certain Elect-type chips to more better effect and all that jazz. And that maxes out our charge meter. So now any power-ups I get are going straight into Rapid because, well, that's the least important stat to upgrade, I find. Alright, so we're done on that little splurge through the internet, so let's save off and give Lan a break after his very long vacation plans just went completely awry. Several hours after the hijacking. Including the hijacking, Gospel's vileness is increasing. We've got to find Gospel's HQ and eliminate them quickly. Dr. Hikari, you've been cooped up in the lab all this time. You need to take a break once in a while, or you'll overdo it. You haven't seen Lan for a while, have you? Once this is over, I'll take some time off and relax. That's a good idea. Earthquake? A big one! Is everything alright? Just surprised you haven't had one for a while now. Strange. Earthquakes are controlled by our environment system. An emergency warning? What's it say? Large-scale disasters in Yumland and Netopia. Floods in Yumland and intense UV rays in Netopia. What the? Strange, that's not right. The disasters are getting worse. What the heck is going on? That last earthquake was a big one. It's been ages since we had one. Surprised the heck out of me, too. Land, there's mail. It's from mail. I wonder what it is. I'll open it. I was on the net when an earthquake happened. I couldn't get rolled back off the net. What should I do? I lost all contact. I think she's in Yumland somewhere? If something ever happened to her, Land, I'll go. I've got to find Roll. Wait, calm down, Mega Man. Roll got lost in Yumland, so... Okay, Mega Man, let's check the net. Yeah, let's go. Land, you've got more mail. Your free pass from NAL. Thank you for helping resolve the recent hijacking incident. Please accept this free NAL pass for our behalf. We'll take measurements to prevent future incidents. The plane is now being repaired at Den Airport. During this time, it's on display for visitors. We hope you'll grace us with your presence. Thank you for choosing NAL. So not only can you access the airplane from the last scenario, but you can also go back and forth from Netopia whenever you want to. But now starts the problem section of the game. The first 6.5 minutes or so of this video are from the same recording session as last part's footage. The next 56 minutes or so are all one 2.5 hour session recorded down to, edited down to 56 minutes. I hate this section of the game. White ice seems to be more fragile than colored ice. Maybe you can break it by hitting it. But I'm not strong enough. So this scenario, we have to deal with blocks of ice blocking certain paths in the internet. You can break white ice to start, but anything above that, you cannot break until we get certain items. Aquacust style level 2, charge attacks, bubbler attack up. So because we did between, I think 130 and 150 battles, our custom style has leveled up and the charge attack is stronger. What is this ice? It looks like it's emitting something very harmful. I have a feeling this should be removed right away. Somebody with scientific knowledge might know how. But I can't do it. So, in Battle Network 3, they would add extra benefits whenever you leveled up a style change. But here in BN2, it is just the charge shots that get stronger. Quick and easy Airman V3 there. That's another chip down. Just need to get a V2, and I'll be good on that chip. I do often have playthroughs of this game where I just try to get Airman V3s as soon as I can, and just kind of rely on that even in the late game. But on this playthrough, we are very much outclassing it with the G-code stuff I got going on at the moment. It really depends on what drops you get, though, along the way on top of anything you might want to grind for. Also, prepare for a lot of speed up in this video because we're going to be dealing with a lot of required encounters like that. That's Bubble Cross, by the way. That is the bubbler chip, but it does more damage, and the extra explosions now make an X around the center target. So that can be pretty good for hitting certain things at different ranges, but I only use the bubblers for a very specific program advance we'll be seeing down the line, so not much to my tastes on the whole. So the ice. Exploring around, you'll notice there are 4 distinct colors of it. White, blue, yellow, and red. We can only break the white for now, but they're all going to be blocking pathways across the internet. So if you're trying to get anywhere on the net, you're more than likely going to have to jack out and move to the required place as land first, because inner area pathways are more than likely going to be blocked off. This leads into the major problem this scenario has, backtracking. We're going to be going from place to place a lot in this scenario, and I'm going to be cutting out a lot of going back and forth to places. I'm going to try to talk about where we're going, or say we're about to head over there, and then cut there first. But if you're playing along, I apologize for what you're about to go through, because cutting large swaths of backtracking out in editing is why this recording session went from 2.5 hours to 56 minutes. So you're gonna probably have to pause if you're playing along and just go to where I go. And I'm sorry, but this scenario sucks no matter what you do. I'm sorry. With that said, if you explore around, you can get some hints on where you need to go, but I'm just gonna tell you the NPC we next need to talk to help with progress is over here in Koto area behind this piece of ice. By the way, ice battles are set. There's no randomness to them whatsoever. This will always be 3 Dominard, so save beforehand in case you are afraid of something potentially bad happening. I got trapped in the ice all of a sudden. I was so scared I thought I'd never get out. Thank you so much. This is a present for you. I found it near here. Pretty, huh? And here we get a red fragment. It looks like it's emitting a weak radio signal, Lan. This could have something to do with the ice on the net. Hey, let's ask Dad to take a look at it. Alright, so let's take that over to him. So let's go over to Marine Harbor and do something else entirely different first. Because I want to fight Toadman again. We still don't know how strong the recent quake was. Once we do know, we just shook, right? Because this is an ice-themed scenario, we're gonna want a good electric-type battle chip for stuff. And Toadman is one of the best in the game because, like I mentioned, the Toadman battle chip is just his music note attack. And it homes in on enemies, so that's gonna be pretty handy. I don't want the V2 though, I want the big boy. I want Toadman V3. The difference between getting a V2 and V3, it can be a matter of luck, honestly, when it comes to execution, as it requires getting the right chips off the bat and getting them quickly without taking much damage, if any damage at all. You need like a 10 or an S to get a V3 in most cases. And it's not too bad eventually, but it can be rough to learn how to play like that, especially if you haven't played one of these games in a while. That's not the only Navi we're fighting though, because at this point we can also fight Gateman V3. And I really want the Gateman V3 battle chip. The Gateman battle chips are actually a little interesting though, because I don't think I mentioned this part. For the most part, when a Navi chip gets upgrades, it just gains more damage on the tin. But Gateman actively gains more soldiers that he spits out of his gate on his chest. Which means you can actively probably kill more enemies with it, in the case there's several in a row, which can be pretty useful. And here's what my folder is looking like at this point. I have the Gutsman chips and the Gateman chips, because that's what I like to use. I probably could have actively grinded for a Gateman V2 there, just to get rid of the V1, but I'm fine with what I got. Dad, trouble! Roll's gone missing on the net! And strange icy things have been falling. Roll MIA? That ice is probably the cause. I checked out the net and discovered something terrible. What do you mean, something terrible? Natural disasters are occurring all over the world. While it's not well known, each nation's environment is controlled by an environment system to prevent natural disasters from taking place. But the ice is a special virus that has frozen the net and the environment system. A virus? That ice? Most of the official navies were taken out in the removal operations. It's just that dangerous of a virus. The ice virus has 4 forms: white, red, blue, and yellow. A special cure is required to remove the ice. The only cure we can create is red cure, which breaks red ice. But we need sample data from a red ice virus to make it. A sample? Something like this? And that's why we got the red fragment. With this I can make red cure. Hold on a sec. Done. Red cure is complete. I'll take it. If you don't hurry and remove all the ice on the net, nature's power that has been suppressed by programs for decades will suddenly be unleashed, destroying the world. I'll go and fix the environment system. I won't be back for a while. I'll leave the ice viruses to you. I'm leaving an important duty in your hands, but I believe we can pull this off together. Leave it to me, Dad. We'll protect the world together. Go to it, son. I'll see about the environment system. Good luck, Lan and Mega Man. It's a lot of pressure to put on an 11-year-old, but I think we're kind of used to it at this point. Lan, let's hurry. Okay. So he says you have to destroy all the ice. No, you don't. You can leave the ice behind in some of the areas, because some of the areas it blocks off is just NPCs that have dialogue that don't give you anything. On top of that, and a kind of a weird moment for this, there's 3 new side quests. Help research. With the assistance of a TV station, I'm researching virus busting. Please help me with my research. Your task is simple. I want to measure your Navi's data as you delete viruses. Your reward will be an item that I know you will just love. Just don't blame me if your Navi gets deleted instead. Winky face. If you agree to this job, plug into my van's computer. Alright. And being a van, that's pretty self-explanatory. We need to jack into Rabita's van here in the Marine Harbor. Now, this is the only one of these side quests I'm actively doing this part, if only because one of the other ones requires a lot of setup, and I prefer to get that one done before a lot of the other ones at this point. So we're not going to get that done until at least, like, next time, I'd want to say. I was the one who made the request. Let's begin our research, shall we? I'll generate a virus 5 times in a row. I'll measure your rate of synchronization and response. I'm starting now. Are you ready? Absolutely. Health will recover until the battle ends. Try not to get deleted. Good luck. This is essentially one of the several rounds of viruses out of the license tests we've already seen in the game. There are a lot of different elemental viruses in this, though, so be careful no matter which style change you are elemental-wise, because you could be in trouble in some of these fights. Adding on to that, we got 2 new viruses in the later 2 battles, and some of them are pretty annoying to deal with. Starting off, we got a Fishy 2. One of the few times you usually run into the 2 before the after the 3. Fishy 2s are strong as hell when it comes to physical contact. They hurt. But what makes them more annoying than a Fishy 1 or 3 is that while they're slower than, say, a Fishy 3, when they dash, they leave a trail of fire behind that stays there for a moment. Long enough usually that by the time it goes away, the Fishy will have already started its next dash at you on one of the other columns. So that limits your field in a way that can be really annoying to deal with. And I don't think there's a way to put out the fire yourself without actively just taking damage or sacrificing a barrier in the case you have one. But this does allow me to showcase something I don't think I've mentioned about the Gator program advance yet. I've mostly used it in boss fights, but if you use it in a random battle as well, the separate pieces of the 3 volleys of projectiles Gateman throws out will track on to each individual enemy. Next up, we got Dominard 2s. They are stronger Dominards, both in their HP and attack power, but what makes them very annoying is that usually a Dominard 2 has Get-In 1 as a hidden battle chip it'll use against you in the battle. And we got Get-In 3 as a battle chip a few parts back that makes the entire field into poison panels. Get-In 1 cracks every panel. So in this fight, that can be annoying with the fishies if you don't take them out like that. But if you've run into a fight with multiple Dominard 2s and they both use their Get-In 1s, you're just going to have an arena full of holes except for the panels you or other viruses are on, which makes fighting Dominards especially pretty troublesome. So be careful with Dominard 2s. Prioritize them if you can. My goodness, what an outcome. It's far beyond our expectations. However, this data is nothing compared to an average Navi. I can't use it as all-purpose data. But that being said, it's still valuable. Please take your pay. All of that for a power-up, I'd say that's worth it. At this point, our rapid's gonna start growing, and eventually I'll actually be able to just stop doing the quick-stepping to have a higher rapid rate. Now, I'm accepting the next mission, but I'm not completing it for a while. Lend me cash. The company I'm in charge of is on the verge of bankruptcy. I need 50,000 zenny immediately. If business picks up again, I will repay soon with interest. If you can finance me, come to the big mansion in AC/DC. You need a whopping 50,000 zenny to complete this quest normally, and I'm only at 22. I'm accepting this quest now just so I have it for when I eventually reach 50k again. For now, it's time for us to start jumping around, because there's a new virus we can fight in this particular block of ice near the Den Square. These are Magmackers. I forget if these are the version 2 or 3 of this virus line. But they work pretty much the same. If you're in the same row as them, they will dash at you kind of slowly compared to a fishy. Their magnet bomb will keep you in place if you get hit by it, on top of the damage it does to begin with. But if you play your cards right, you don't need to worry too much about them. Kind of wish I had played this battle a little better, honestly, because then I could just get their battle chip now, but oh well. Because you can get the battle chip of any virus you fight like this. Which can be a pretty easy way to get some of their battle chips because it's a guaranteed fight at a very specific point in the story. Instead of having to grind out waiting for fishy 2s to show up in a specific area or something like that. Set encounters like that can be incredibly useful for scenarios like that. Now that we have the red cure though, we can break this ice and gain access to the Yumland area and hopefully go find Roll. And this is where you can do a little bit of time saving if you know the area and the scenario ahead of time. Because while we're in Yumland area, there's a certain other thing we can do that you're going to be directed to do eventually by the plot anyway in this scenario, so you might as well do it while we're here. More on what that is in a moment, because that's going to have to wait until Yumland 2 to begin with. This scenario has a lot of that, where you need to know to go talk to this person here and then, because you can get hinted to it later by this person. And in that regard, the shortcutting you can do here is interesting for one of these scenarios on repeat playthroughs, but on a first run, you're probably not going to know you can do that. And because of that, this scenario just becomes kind of a drag to play through no matter what. It feels, I hesitate to say fillery, because it's still very important to the game's narrative. But it feels like it's the most padding just to boost the game's length in a way. Because Battle Network games to begin with are kind of short on the RPG spectrum to begin with. I average about 10 to 13 hours on any given playthrough nowadays for main story. And this being 2.5 hours, this is like a sixth of the game's plot on its own, and it's ridiculous. Right there, though, we got the Fire Rat battle chip from that Purple Mystery Data. Fire Rat's sort of a spin-off of the Raton battle chip line, where when you use it, a red rat spawns in front of you, and it then stays there. But if you hit it with a fire attack, it zooms forward into whatever's in that row, and does about 200 damage, which can be really good. But the fact you either need to use a fire-type charge shot on it, or a fire-type battle chip, means you need to dedicate something to actively using it in a way that I don't tend to like doing, but it's still good all the same. I can really recommend it, especially if you have a good R-coded folder going on. And here we got, speaking of Ratons, Ratty 2s. Ratty 2s get annoying, because for one thing, they're usually fought in larger groups like this to begin with when we eventually run into them in the field. But also, they just do more damage, and when you piss them off by hitting them several times, they just move so absurdly fast. Not as fast as their big brothers are going to, but oh well. And there's a Raton 2 battle chip, so I got that for the library, nice and dandy. Mega Man, did you come here to save me? Thanks, Mega Man and Lan. Now I can contact Mail. I need to contact Mail, she must be worried about me. Mail, I'm fine now, thanks to Mega Man and Lan. I'm sorry to make you worry. I'll be home soon. Alright then. Mega Man, Lan, be careful. The net seems different from usual. Indeed it is. So this is where we want to not jack out yet, because this is where we can get something done that will save us a step down the line. We want to come over to where we fought Cutman V2 earlier in the LP, and shatter this red ice that houses 3 cloudy ones, and then talk to the Mr. Program behind it. Did I make it? I was wrong to skip my work and fool around here. Thank you so much for rescuing me. My job is making fires, but the heat data that I use is working a little too well. I need to cool off like this once in a while, or I can't continue working, it just gets too hot. I should contact my coworkers, they must be worried. So by doing this and going out of our way to go to a certain place in a few moments, we are saving ourselves the cruelest backtrack in this entire scenario, which is good that you can do that. I'll give those scenario points with that. But it doesn't excuse a lot of else of what's coming up in the latter half of this scenario. Thankfully, when it comes to tracking back and forth on the internet, you can at least save yourself some time by just jacking in and out. But yeah, this gets kind of annoying. For now, for more information, we want to check the BBS boards. Ice appears in the net and natural disasters occur. It doesn't seem like the two are related, but there's a rumor that they're actually directly related. But there's no way for us normal people to figure out how. Rumor, that reminds me. A friend told me about the Undernet, do you know it? Well, there's an undersquare where nasty types gather, and get this, they even have a boardroom there. They say that if you post a keyword there, a navi called the Doc will appear in the undersquare. He makes cures for any kind of virus. There's a great informant in the undersquare that they say knows the keyword, but, well, I'm sure no one's gonna check for themselves, so it could be a lie or some kind of urban legend. The Doc sounds spooky. I'd like to see him. But to call him, I'd need that keyword. And I'd still need to go to the undersquare. Urban legends are fun because you can't verify them. So that's the biggest hint of where we need to go next, on top of this mail we just got. This help? Lan, Mega Man, thank you so much for looking for roll. Promise you'll be careful. I've got a bad feeling. I'm not sure it'll help, but take this for good luck. And now we get the roll V3 chip. I think if you don't get this now, you can get it some other way. Although I think you do need to save roll in order to progress now that I think about it. If you can progress without it, I've actually never tried to. So now we want to come out of our way to do another Okuden Valley backtrack and jack into the grill here that we got, I think, a bubbler chip and a mini energy in during that scenario. And we want to talk to a Mr. Prog on the western side of the map, just up here. Are you Mega Man? I heard you saved my coworker. He's a slacker, but he's my friend. This won't be enough to show you my gratitude, but please, take it. And we got the heat data. Thank you so much. That is a key item we need for this scenario. Let's hurry and get back to the net. Right, we've got no time to waste. Come on, let's go. What? Another earthquake? Land mail. I'll read it. Natural disasters on the world are on the rise. Intermittent quakes are occurring in Lectopia, and an evacuation advisory has been issued. The disasters may worsen. No time for wasting. Let's go. By getting that heat data now, we now no longer need to do the last major backtrack in this area of the plot. And good. With that said, I'm now going out of my way to come back to the airport and head to Netopia because it's going to be the best place to handle some things. Well, if it isn't Lonnie Cardy, I knew I recognized you. Hey, don't tell me you forgot what I look like. I didn't. Ha, got you that time. Hey, don't look at me like that. I'm on the right side of things now, really I am. How about having a net battle with me new Navi hype man? Accept this person's challenge? Sure. Well, don't mix up Heatman and Fireman or you'll get burnt. Mr. Match returns, and he's got a new net Navi this time around, adapting Heatman from Mega Man 2. Heatman is a much harder fight than Fireman, if only because, for one thing, he's a lot more proactive with his attacks. His main attack he's going to be doing is Heat Tower, which is a chain of fire that will go panel to panel following you around as it proceeds left across the screen. He can hide into the lighter formation that he's clearly shaped after. When he does that, he can light 2 to 3 panels randomly on your side of the field on fire. And then towards the latter half or so of his health, he gains an attack where he goes into the lighter form again, but this time leaps at you and is trying to just jump on top of you, basically. Beware when he does that, though, because when he does, the panel he lands on becomes a lava panel, which is a panel that will damage you once when you step on it after its transformation, then it just becomes a normal panel again. I think later variants of this fight, that attack also gains a fire shockwave attack in the panels that surround it, or at least the perpendicular panels, but I might be thinking of a similar attack in a later game the more I think about it. Being an Aqua style, this isn't too hard for me, but if you got a Wood style, this fight can be a little annoying. Thankfully, Heatman version 1 is still relatively slow, so you don't need to worry too much about being super on your toes here. On top of the fact you have a good folder by this point, usually. Ha! Up to your old tricks again, eh? Little rascal. Here. Free HP memory for that. Don't count me out just yet. I would never, Mr. Match. Honestly, you're probably the favorite out of the original games, World 3 operators. Both on the fan aspect and even internally for reasons we'll see as we go through the rest of the games again. So now that we're back in Netopia, I want to come back to our hotel room because we can now jack into the refrigerator that they said had a jack in port during our first visit. Because there are 2 mystery data we can grab here. An Elixir Asterisk, which is pretty good as a just trash thing to get through your folder easily. And a Bug Frag. I think you can run into Metard 2s around here, maybe some of the Cloudies. But a lot of the battles in this particular computer have the ice panels, so beware that. That's actually a case where air shoes can come in pretty good handy. Next up, we want to hit up the Netopian jewelry store for a twofold reason, actually. For one thing, we want to fight Miss Millions because now we can fight Snake Man V2 and get the Snake Man battleship. This fight doesn't get too many big differences from memory. I don't think it gains a new attack in this version. It's mostly speed and damage upgrades, though I should note something I didn't mention during the first time against this guy. First off, I believe from memory he's grass, wood type rather, so heat damage does double the damage. But also, if you got a heat style change, that charge attack can be surprisingly useful here, because while there's a wind-up to it actively firing out, if you're good about moving fast, I think you might be able to sneak it in and damage him at the last second. But the other reason we want to come over to Miss Millions is that, like I mentioned when we were exploring the Netopia area a few parts back, her purse is one of the best jack-in points in the game for late-game internet areas, because it's close to the entrance to the Undernet. It has a quick access to the Yumland area right next door. This place is fantastic for accessing later areas. So don't be surprised if in post-game you actively spend a lot of time just jacking in and out from this purse, because it's real good for that. And we're going to be taking good advantage of it in this scenario because we're also going to need to do a lot of things in the Netopia area itself. On that note, though, I know I've already talked about this part the backtracking this scenario has, and how bad it is, and it is. But the first half isn't that bad, honestly. Up to the point that we're at now, where they want us to first go access the Undernet and the Undersquare. We were already there at the start of the part, yes. But this is where the amount of back and forth I want you to do just starts driving me up a wall. And there's the Snake Man battleship. The Snake Man battleship line's a little interesting because it actually has a secondary effect. If you have holes on your side of the field, the miniature snakes that the boss fight shoots at you will pop out of them and fly forward through the row, actively damaging the enemies, and then Snake Man will finish off the attack with a bite forward. If you actively use like a panel out 3 to have a lot of holes on your side of the field, you can stack up those snakes for some pretty good damage, but that's too much setup for my usual tastes, so I don't tend to use it. But I do like to use, though, is Step Sword. Step Sword's interesting in that it's a high-powered wide sword that you actively skip forward a panel to use. So say if you're in the middle of your field, you will then be on the first column of the enemy field when doing the attack. And for that reason, I like it a lot. The Q code from the mystery data around here, though, isn't exactly great. Because, get this, Q is a pretty hard letter to work with. Also, if you're wondering why I'm actually showing the backtrack through the Undernet at this point, it's because this is only the second time we've been to the Undernet in the LP, so you might need this to help recognize the level design a little better and all that. On top of that, the Undernet just universally has the most confusing layout in every Battle Network game, so it's good to have the visual reference as we walk through it. With that said, if you've already fought Megaman v2 like I have in this playthrough and you have an Aqua style change, you might want to save when you first enter here just in case V3 decides to show his face and try to mess you up. Speaking of messing up, we can get another good battleship right here from this, I think this is the Deathfire. This is Meteor 15? Yeah. Something I don't think I've mentioned about the Meteor line of ships. I think the Meteors are limited to where they can land based off what panels are available. So if you use like a get-in ship or several panel outs to knock out enemy field sides, you can just make all 15 land in a single place, which can be useful against some fights. But that's A, a little bit too much setup, and B, I think bosses will gain invincibility frames after a couple of hits anyway, so not the best strategy. Let's find our informant, shall we? I'm a famous informant. They even know me in the Undernet. What's that? The keyword for calling the doc? I don't know the keyword, but I know someone who does. I'll sell you this info for 10,000 zenny, cheap. So you buyin'? I think you have to do this no matter what, so I hope you have the money. Thank you. Alright, here's your info. The navvy that knows the keywords in the net square. Or so I've heard. It's a purple navvy and it's pretty greedy. I wonder who's more greedy, me or that purple navvy. So now we need to head to the Netopia Square. It being called the Net Square when it's on the internet, by the way, messed me up so much because I kept checking the AC/DC Square. The keyword to call for the doc? Well, I heard my friend knows it. Where is he now? I think he left for the net to buy a chip. I don't think he went too far. Indeed, our purple navvy has left, but thankfully they are pretty nearby. They're at the shop here in Netopia 2 that we got the asterisk wind and fan ships from. So we might as well head over there and grab that, and also I want to make sure I grab this mystery data anytime I walk past it, because the Netopia mystery datas are some of the most handy for money grinding, because sometimes they're 100 zenny, sometimes they're 10,000, and yeah, that rare chance of getting the 10,000 is worth it every time. Huh? You want to know the keyword to call it the doc? I can tell you, but it won't be free. Give me your Zap Ring 2B in payment, and then I'll tell you. Zap Ring 2B is a pretty easy battleship to get in this area, usually by getting high ranks against 2 tough bunnies. Gutsman V2 with an attack plus 30 is a pretty easy way to get that in most cases. You're a clever one. You scratch my back, so now I'll tell you the keyword to call the doc. Listen up, because I won't say it twice. The keyword is... The keyword is... The keyword is World 3. Were you surprised? It's the same as the name of the criminal organization. That's all I know. Hope it helps. I think by this point I had like 3 or 4 Zap Ring 2Bs just lying around from random battles, doing backtracking already. So now we need to backtrack to the Undersquare where we just were moments ago. And we're just gonna cut there because that's, I think, a 4 to 6 minute backtrack, even with random encounters edited out. So now we need to check out the BBS boards here in the Undersquare and post that keyword on the one on the left in particular. Thankfully, the moment you investigate it, Mega Man just picks the right thing to do. I'll post some keywords. Go to it. World 3. Land, it's posted. Wonder if he'll come, or is it just a rumor? According to the rumor, if you post this word, he'll appear somewhere in the undersquare. Wanna go look? Hope it's not just a simple rumor. Let's take a look. Yeah. Thankfully, if you are already pretty familiar with the layouts of Undersquare by coming here earlier or just talking to the people around, the dock stands out pretty quickly. Most of these rumors, by the way, aren't much of note. They're just world-building filler text, sort of, I guess, at the end of the day. Oh, what a cute customer we got here. What's wrong today? Does your tummy ache? Oh. What? A cure? What a navvy like you do with a... Playing doctor? What? To break that ice? Ooh, sounds fun. But since you've reached me, you must be kinda tough. Alright, you can have the cure, but I want all the power-ups and battleships you've got equipped in exchange. Deal? We need to save the world, so sure. Alright, give me that stuff. The doc took all of Megaman's power-ups and battleships. Megaman's level has gone back to 1. Heh, you're brave. I like you. I'll make your cure. But first here, take this back with interest. And of course they're not actually gonna do that to you. But we also got an anti-recovery D, which is a multiplayer-focused battleship on the whole that I don't tend to use a lot. It's okay in some battles with spookies, though. Actually, I was looking into that ice myself. To make the cure yellow cure that can break yellow ice, you need a yellow fragment and a heat data. That's all I know. I got myself a yellow fragment here. If I had a heat data, I can make you a yellow cure. So do you got a heat data? Yes, we do. That's why I went out of my way to do that earlier. I'll make your cure, but hand that over first. Let's see here. Click, click, beep, beep. Here you goes. I'm a genius, I tells ya. With that, you can break yellow ice. I know this guy in Netopia too, whose brother tried all sorts of things to break the ice. He might know something useful. So that's what I cut out by actively going out of my way to talk to that program back in Yumland area and then heading over to the Okadin Valley Grill. I believe if you don't have the heat data, he gives you a hint to check out the grills in some form, but it's been so long since I did that fight normally, I actively do not remember anymore. On the way back to Netopia 2, though, I broke that yellow ice and found myself some hardhead 3s. This could actively be a bit of a hard fight, because hardhead 3s, they're just a damage and speed upgrade, yes, but pairing 3 of them in a row with the rate they fire at means you're going to be running out of space pretty quickly if you're not taking them out in 1 to 2 shots to begin with. With that said, if you have like a very gateman focused deck like I do, you might want to make them destroy the back column first, just to make things a little safer for yourself. It's very easy to take damage in this section, and considering you're going to be on the internet backtracking a lot, jacking out can help with that, but I also recommend stocking up on full energies in the case you're low, because I actively am at this point. The only thing is I am still trying to save Zenny for the 50k I need for the side quest I accepted. I think I end the part at about 50k, but we'll get more into doing that next time, more than anything. Couldn't get a battleship though, but thinking about it, I actually don't think Hardhead 3s have a battleship, so no, that makes sense, Alright, so now we're back in Netopia 2. We've actively talked to this NPC that we're looking for before. You might remember the bug frag I got last time that was on the southeastern portion of Netopia 2. It's over there. That's something I do like about like the end of this scenario, of the last scenario into the beginning of this one. If you check the internet at the end of the last scenario, like before you go to sleep, you can actively find some of the NPCs in places beforehand, like how Roll was in Yumland when we talked to her last time. Alright, we want to come just past that yellow ice right there. It is also likely around now you'll encounter the first one of the best post-battle HP recovery items, in the case you don't get like Zenny or Battleship, which is just an HP max outright, like so. That is a full HP recovery. Thanks, kid, you saved my life. I thought I was a goner when I was trapped in the ice. Anyway, you can break the ice, right? I have a request. I lost my little brother. Can you find him? I'll pay. Sure. So you'll look for him? Thank you. He might have gone to the Undernet. I hope my brother's okay. He's the best keymaker in Netopia. I can't stop worrying about him. I'm counting on you. So now we need to immediately go right back to the Undernet. In specific, we want to go to a new area of the Undernet, Undernet 3, which is accessed behind the yellow ice we've already seen a couple times here in Undernet 2. So we just need to go through these one-way panels, take this left, and follow this path. The ice on the net is generating harmful signals, you don't say. As a kid, the Undernet actively used to scare me. In some games more than others, I admit. But nowadays, it's more of just making sure you're prepared on repeat playthroughs more than anything. Because if you have the right setup to begin with, you're going to be fine in here. Follow this pretty linear path, and there we go. Man, who would have left this thing on the net? We can't go below with this thing in the way. Now how am I going to get it out of here, I swear. Hey, who are you? Bro's been looking for me? He worries too much. Hey, do me a favor. Go back to where he is and tell him I'm alright and I'll be back soon. I'm still looking for a way to break this ice. You're looking for a way to break the ice too? I'm the keymaker and even I can't figure it out. I know we need 3 blue fragments in order to destroy it, but I don't know where they are. And that's where it stands at the moment. Just tell him I'm alright and I'll be back soon, okay? So now we need to go right back to his brother and tell him he's fine. I hate this scenario. Here's the thing, backtracking isn't inherently a bad thing in games. I love Metroid, it's full of that. I love the Igavanias, they're full of it. It's how a game contextualizes it, the amount of it you need to do, and how long it takes that's the problem here. This is, I'd argue, one of the 3 worst scenarios across all of the Battle Network and Star Force games, just because of how much you need to do back and forth. And there's still some back and forth in the later games, don't get me wrong. But this feels the worst. How's my brother? Is he safe? I'm relieved. Thanks for finding him. This is a gift for you. Blue fragment, hey, alright, 1 down, 2 to go. So now, we need to head back to the Undernet. But before we do that, I'm gonna do a brief little break from it, give myself a moment to do something else. Because now at this point, we can actively challenge Raoul to fight a stronger version of Thunderman and get the Thunderman battleship. You might even be able to fight up to his V3 at this point, but I think you might need to wait until late in the next scenario to do that from memory. Usually the moment you can first fight a V2, you can't immediately do a V3, usually. Unless you just really wait to do them. Also, since I haven't complimented it in a bit, I love this game's soundtrack. I love the boss theme so much. And I also love NetNavi character designs. I don't think there's a single bad canon NetNavi design. They do a really good job of taking the original Robot Master ideas and making them sleeker, more modern for the early 2000s in ways I love. Thunderman is easily one of my favorites in that regard, too. And I think I've already talked about this before, but I actually really do like that Mega Man 11 actively inverted that, where they took a NetNavi and made an official Robot Master out of it. I wonder if we'll get any future ones of those whenever we get more Mega Man games again. Alright, Thunderman's okay. From memory in BN2, it strikes the 3rd panel ahead of you with lightning, which can be nice and precise, but I prefer Toadman because he can hit further or closer targets in the case I'm in certain scenarios. With that said, they're both T-coded, and I think at version 3 they both do the same damage, so you can use either one or both in the same folder, even. But now it's time for more Undernet backtracking. We need to get back to Undernet 3. Lan, how'd that Navi on the floor below get down there? Huh? Hey, you Mega is something on the Gospel's blacklist. Come to steal my blue fragment, did ya? Blue fragment? Isn't that the base for Blue Cure? Come and get blue fragment if you want it. Even if you find your way here, it's pointless. Our civilization destruction plan will be complete. I want to see you sucking your thumb as the world crumbles. Lan, that's Navi's holding blue frag. Check to see if there's a route to get near him. Try as you might, there isn't. Thankfully, convenient email is here to save us. Chad here, midterm investigation report. There appears to be a Gospel Navi in Undernet 3. However, due to the mysterious ice, I couldn't reach him. In searching for another route to the Undernet, I discovered an entrance from Kodo Square. However, a special key is required to access that route. That's all I have to report at this stage. I'll continue the investigation. So, we need a special key to reach this portion of Undernet 3. thankfully, through the hordes of endless backtracking, we just met one of the best keymakers in Netopia, apparently, on our first trip to Undernet 3. So we just need to find him again. I think the way they want you to find him is by going to talk to his brother again, but I've just more or less always remembered where he is by this point, so I know where to go. We need to head to Netopia Square. And at this point, using Raoul's radio is going to be faster than going to Miss Millions, although it's more or less the same distance. I just wanted to potentially get some more Zenny along the way, really. I know I've told several stories of getting stuck on portions of games as a kid, and just sort of treating that as the end of the game and then starting a new playthrough. Battle Network 2 has had several of those over the years. When I was really young, when I was really little, it'd be parts of the Quickman scenario. Then it was usually the airplane. But for the longest time, maybe even upwards of a year plus 2 years, this scenario was the worst part of the game and still is. And I'm not surprised that I just got walled off. It's a pretty tedious section to get through. Hey, great to see you again. You looking for a key? For where? The gate at Den area? The gate that leads to Kotobuki, huh? I can make one. Hold on a sec. Rattle ka-ching, here it is. I owe you one, so take it. And now we got Gate Key D, and through doing other side quests, we now have most of the gate keys in the game, and we can go get the last one right now. So we want to now head back to the conference room at the Net Castle. Because you might remember we did a quiz back on our way to Netopia for the first time. Now we can do the second one with the man on the other side of the table. Who called the Quizmaster? Who called the Quizmaster? It's quiz time, come on and do it, cha-cha-cha. They call me Quizmaster, show me your knowledge. Answer my 10 questions correctly, and you win a luxurious prize. Now then, you ready? Bring it on. Okay, here goes. Question number 1. What's the popular announcer Rabita's TV show name? She is a caster for DNN News. Question 2. What's the name of the quick rat-shaped virus? That would be Ratty. Question 3. What event occurs when spreaders are in alphabet order? We haven't seen this yet, but it is Hyperburst. Question 4. What shape is Okaden Valley's air monitoring system? That would be the Guardian computer. Question 5. Where is the statue of the ancient Melpost god of war? That would be at Yai's house. I forget what you need to actively read to see that, though. Question 6. A rooster stood on the peak of a barn. It laid an egg. Which side did the egg roll down? The left side or the right? This is a trick question. Roosters can't lay eggs. Alright, question 7. Which has a more powerful attack, Little Bomb or Heat Spread? They are the exact same power. Question 8. What's the name of Snake Man's operator? That would be Mrs. Millions. Question 9. What wood does the bath in AC/DC Town's largest house use? You have to investigate the house, the bath from the Airman scenario to know this. It's made of cypress wood. And now the last question, question 10. What's in the trash can in Underground Netopia? That would be a teddy bear. Absolutely correct. You did it. And here's your prize for getting all the right answers. Yeah, bravo! We get the final gate key C, but also in a free HP memory. That's pretty good. So now we can actively go use the other gate keys, and we need to anyway for plot for one of them. You do still need to go the way around the little gate key area around here though, because the blue ice we cannot break yet. So by breaking this yellow ice, we're now gonna have access to all 4 of these gates we've been seeing since the start of the game. And I like them a lot because they actively give you shortcuts to each of the squares in the game. So, despite what I said about Miss Millions' computer in the long run, if you're trying to get anywhere through the early game internet areas, AC/DC, Yumland, Netopia, or Kodo area, Land's house is a very good jack-in point. It's mostly post-game and super end-gamey grindy stuff, where you need to be at the Undernet, where Miss Millions' purse really comes in handy. With that said, we still can't do anything about that weird portal in between the 4 of these. That leads to that purple mystery data. We can't access that for a good while still. For now, let's take the warp over towards Kodo Square, but take this other warp to the southwest of it to access Under Kodo, which is sort of Kodo Area 2. Don't mess around in this area because the viruses can be pretty deadly. Like Dominator 2s are in most of the encounters around here, as seen here. But also we got kill weeds, which are upgraded killer plants. They do about the same thing. They shoot a tree seed that will then become a wood tower. It just is faster and does more damage. If you can get the battle chip, it's good. I prefer Tree Bomb 1 myself at this point because it's G-coded and fits with everything I got, but if you get it, it's nice. Before we actually head to the plot destination here in Under Kodo, though, we want to hit up the net dealer that I'm heading to right now because another one of the most critical things in the game can be gotten here. Okay, yeah, like an S-code, that's pretty good, considering that a lot of the swords are S-coded. Here you can get not only a power-up and HP memories, but you can get the final of the elemental blades and fast gauge. Fast gauge is now going to be my regular chip for most of the LP. Fast gauge, I think, doubles the scrolling speed of the custom gauge in battle. So now can you make your turns and instantly, in order to get more chips through quickly, you can now speed up the custom gauge to begin with to get through them all the more faster. I would recommend, like a usual starter now will be fast gauge, custom gauge, some trash chips you don't want in your starting folder, and then go from there. This is going to be key, especially for getting high ranks in a lot of post-game stuff, so get used to that, honestly. And here we got another new virus. This is a Twisty 2. It's the same as a Twisty 1, just that its Rainbow Bit does more damage and moves faster. Also, something I can recommend, when you're on your way into Under Kodo, I actually recommend you go and buy 2 unlockers. Because there's one here in Under Kodo, but also when Under Kodo connects to Undernet 3, there is a purple mystery data in Undernet 3 you'll be able to access that is pretty good and important for some late game, post gamey stuff, but I'll be able to grab it then. I don't need to worry about it too much for the main story, but still worth noting all the same, in case you're trying to get everything as early as you can. And that's the Rainbow Bit 2 chip, so I don't need to worry about grabbing that one later. Into the folder it goes for never. Into the pack it goes, rather. I get those words backwards in my head a lot for some reason. And right over here, we're back in the Undernet. So in this regard, I guess reaching some parts of the Undernet, Land's house can also be pretty good. You'll just have to trek through Under Kodo to get to it first. It's a matter of whether or not you really want to go through there, because Miss Millions just goes straight to Undernet 1. So I guess once you've gotten everything to Undernet 1, Land's house can be a good endgamey start location for jacking in. I just prefer Miss Millions by the end of it, usually. Alright, make sure you save just in case, because we're coming up on actually a bit of a unique virus battle. I don't get it. How'd you get here? Whatever, you'll die here and that's all that matters. New virus, and I think its only appearance in the game is the third null virus, Null and Void. They are faster, they regenerate health faster, and they do more damage. But despite their high enough HP for a standard virus type, you're not going to need to worry too much, especially if you have a certain program adventure folder that I'm keying up for. By using the 3 elemental blades in a certain order, we're going to use the strongest of the 3 life sword program advances. I'm pausing here because I actively had to remember which order that goes in. I believe it's Fire, Aqua, Elec, and we get Life Sword 3, which does a whopping 600 damage. Yeah, weaker than Gator, but for single targets, it's still nothing to be laughing at. Won't lie though, I like the Null and Void's color palette. The gray and purple really pops. But not as much as their head's about to pop from a good music note to the head. Alright, what do you have to say to that random, I guess, gospel, Navi? I made an oversight. The rumor said you were tough, but I was only mere time stall anyway. Right now, Gospel Supreme Commander Freezeman is steadily moving towards the destruction of the world. Hey, where's Gospel's HQ? Huh, wouldn't you like to know? The HQ is in Kodo Square. What? Kodo Square? Of all places? Even if you reach it, you're no match for Freezeman. Freezeman! Ah! The Gospel Navi dropped something. You got blue fragment B. Now we have 2 blue fragments. Mega Man, head for Gospel HQ. Hold on, Lan, there's something else here. What is it? Grab it. Mega Man got Gospel ID. This is like a Gospel member's card. Come on, Lan, off to Gospel's HQ. Sure. And we've got more mail. Mail news, major quake. According to a new report from the Denver Earthquake Center, a quake of unprecedented size is likely to occur shortly. Please proceed to an evacuation center immediately. Alright though, we know where we need to go. We need to head to Koto Square, and thankfully the Kotobukiya shortcut we just used is a good way to reach it. And it's now I should mention something that, if you're paying attention you might have noticed, Koto Square is actually shaped like something. It's shaped like a skull, and beyond this gate that needs the Gospel ID, we have the jaw. That took me so long to notice, but that's such a good foreshadowing moment. And, well, now it just looks incredibly evil. We have 3 more bits of yellow ice to get through, and then we're gonna be at Freeze Man. This is not a bad way in some regards to get potentially fixed locations for getting like high-level Quake chips or all that. But you can find them also pretty easily just by doing battles in the Undernet areas down the line, so don't worry too much about grinding that out right now. Although one I do get them pretty glad to get is actually from the Fishy 2s. Because the Fishy 2's battle chip is a little unique. It's called Burner. This isn't a dash type chip. Instead, Mega Man will hit the ground with his fist and surround himself in fire, and it does absurd damage. And if memory serves, it's available in both the L and S codes, so it's pretty good to set into some folder types, honestly. After these annoying Flamey 3s, though, save because it's about time for us to face Freeze Man himself and make him pay for all the backtracking we've had to do to reach him. I'll give you a hand for coming this far, Megaman.exe. Who the heck are you? Gospel's Supreme Commander, Freeze Man. I orchestrated the civilization destruction plan. Soon, a quake registering as high as 10 will strike. Shall we find a nice place to watch the destruction unwind? I won't allow it. Now hand over the blue fragment. No way. Sure, that ice on the net is part of me. But the 3rd blue fragment is me. What? So that means... Right. You have to defeat me or you can't save the world. If you really want to stop the end of the world, then... give me your best shot, Mega Man. Lan, handle the routine. Got it. I'll protect this country and the world. Alright, Mega Man, battle routine set. Execute. Freeze Man, despite talking a lot of shit, is honestly a pretty easy boss because, for one thing, he's Aqua Elemental. And his battles are always fought on ice panels, so he's 4 times weak to electricity. Attack-wise, he actually starts the battle shielding himself with a shield that takes, I think, 41 damage in his V1 fight to destroy. I think it takes 81 in V2 and 121 in V3. With or without the shield, he is actually going to have his eyes glow every now and then. He's going to send an ice tower at you, which is essentially just a fire tower or wood tower, but aqua elemental. He can drop icicles in a series on your side of the field. But also, the moment you break his shield, he actually essentially uses a wind box to push you to the back of your field. But let's see, if we do 220 damage times 4, there goes most of his health in one shot. If you use even more Navi plus 20s, you can one-shot him, honestly, with that setup. It gets kind of ridiculous. For being the Supreme Commander, not a lot to worry about. Who would have dreamed I'd lose? And to you? But it's too late. Only moments till the earthquake. You may have beat me, but there's no time to make the cure. I'll see the end of the world in a moment. Gospel for all eternity! Something's glowing from Freeze Man's body. Mega Man got the 3rd blue fragment. We did it, Lan. We got the blue frag. Ah! Mega Man, what's wrong? Suddenly the blue frag broke. No way, you've gotta be kidding me! What are we gonna do? The world will be destroyed, right? No need to worry. The Doc, what are you doing here? I came to see how this all turned out. Looks like it's a happy ending. Take a gander. The ice is breaking up by itself. The nav you beat seemed to be their power source. This powerless ice is starting to break apart. The same probably goes for other places. Whew. I'm tired. Long time since I worked. Well then, to the Undersquare. Oh, I'll have to bill the officials for the cure and such. How much can I take them for? You boys should be going too. Surely everyone's waiting. Yes, thank you. Let's get on Homeland, back beside everyone. Yeah. And with that, the hellscape is over. Whoa. The environment system has thawed and returned to normal. Now the disaster should be suppressed. Lan, Mega Man, you did well. Thanks, Dad. Whew. So let's head home and I guess talk to Mom and see if dinner's ready, I guess. Hopefully she didn't realize what we were doing. Mom, everything's okay. Mom, what's wrong? Is she mad? Your father called and I heard all about it. Sorry for worrying you, Mom. You two sure know how to make us fret. Lan, Mega Man. Uh-huh. Welcome home. I'm proud of you. Mom! Genes don't lie, just like your dad and Grandpa. You have a strong sense of justice. And you act before you think. That's your lineage. What's wrong? Have I got food in my teeth? You look just like your father when he was young. You must be tired. How about taking a rest? Okay. But with that and all that out of the way, I'm gonna need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and next time on Let's Replay Mega Man Battle Network 2, we are going to do a couple of side things, wrapping up some side quests before starting off the endgame portion of the main story. This was the 350 sub special, but I should note, just as a recency thing, I want to thank y'all for 500 subs, because we just passed that, like, literally today. And I never thought we'd see that number. I'm trying to get at least a full week of these Battle Network 2 videos out before we move on to the next main LP, so if I get that done, great. If not, well, I tried. And hey, 4 videos is a pretty good amount. And I'll see y'all for more Battle Network probably tomorrow, but otherwise, hopefully within a couple of weeks. See you guys then.